Hey, everybody. I hope that you are well. Welcome to Transport Evolved Take 2, where we occasionally, and really very occasionally, and this is just water, where we very occasionally put videos up where we talk about behind the scenes stuff. And I have a confession to make. I done screwed up. Hello, Stephen. I done screwed up, but you know what? I'm fixing it. So I'm going to have some kombucha. Wow. There you go. Clearly, I haven't been working out enough. Cheers. Oh, that's lovely. That's good stuff. I've been making some of my own kombucha, but it's not ready. So I'm having to use store-bought. Sorry, this is Pink Lady Apple. It's my treat. Because I have done the stupidest thing. And I thought that I was going to have to give you all a confession. As you all may or may not know, we use these when we are filming our reviews. We use the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. We've got two of them and a Sony a6300 when we are filming outside of cars. But in cars, these are the things we use. They have their issues. They have many, many issues. But they are generally fairly well behaved. And they produce their little memory cards. They fill up the memory cards with a whole load of files. That may have been a dog, a cat, a deer. Someone sounded their horn outside our house. Anyway, what normally happens when you are using a GoPro is that the GoPro starts recording when you tell it to, and it records all of the video data until either it runs out of power or the memory cards are full. We use 0.5 terabyte memory cards, so we never run out of space, but sometimes the battery runs down. Usually, though, it generally just records, for 45 minutes or whatever, and then we're done with the review and everything is fine. Now, let me show you this because this is if you are somebody who is not a Patreon supporter, you're getting this ahead of time. You're getting a little sneaky peeky peek at this, which is, let me show you this here. This is DaVinci Resolve, and this is all of the footage that has gone into our Mini Cooper SE review. Okay, so all of this, obviously, this stuff here is filmed on the big Blackmagic cameras. This is all filmed on the Blackmagic. Some of this is stock footage provided by BMW, but then this stuff here, that's Michael's filmed that on either the Sony or the Blackmagic. Fantastic, really high quality. We can get loads of detail out of it. But when it comes to in-car reviews, which you're not going to see here because I've just realized this is the wrong timeline, please excuse me. You know what? I'll just show you the source files. Source files works. We can do that, right, Michael? He's not watching, so he's off filming our current car that we have on review. So let me just make this a bit smaller. There is a reason behind this little tail, I promise. And if you're watching this on this channel, you're probably a super fan anyway. So, all right. So this is some of the footage that we are working on. And I just need to switch things around here. Now you should be able to see all of the nice stuff that's going on. So all of this footage is footage that we have recorded. And then we have this. This is the GoPro footage, right? So what you're seeing here is some of the footage that we recorded from the car, from the actual GoPros, right? While we're driving along. This is the GoPro footage. And what normally happens is that the GoPros come back to the studio and they have little memory cards like this. This is the spare 64 gig one. We don't use ones this small. No, we pull it out of the camera, we put it into the computer, and then we have to manually copy all of the files that that GoPro camera has produced and put it onto the server. Now, that's quite an intensive process. It is quite a dumb, impressive process in so much as there's not a lot of intelligence in that and other things. But what you do end up having, let me see if I can get over here. What you do end up having is you end up seeing large numbers of files. So let me see if I can pull this up here. And it looks something like this. Okay, so it gives you just a whole load of memory card names and files. Okay, you can probably see from the title here, Nikki done F up. This is all of the footage from the last car we filmed a review with, which is a Volvo C40 Recharge. It is currently in production. You will not see this for some time. But what it does is it names it. You can see there an arbitrary naming system that we've given, and it sequentially names them, right? So it does. You see that it counts up. Can you see that it's counting up? One of those numbers is in the middle is counting up. So it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? Are you with me so far? Ask questions in the chat if you have them, and otherwise I'll just keep going. So basically what happens is GoPros record 4 gigabyte files, then they stop and start a new file. And if you haven't stopped the camera before it's got to the end of its 4 gigabytes that it can record, and that's something to do with just the limitations of file sizes on those systems, it starts immediately recording another file, and the file, it finishes one file and immediately starts recording the next file, and there's no dropping of frames, no dropping of information, right? So it just goes straight on. It just chops off the end of that file, and then everything after that gets put in a new file. Well, all of these files here, so TE, what is this? This is file number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They are all from one take, okay? So that's just one take of me starting the camera or Michael starting the camera, and then that camera running all the way through until we hit stop. So it would be 10 4 gigabyte files, or a 40 gigabyte approximately video file. So far, so good. Brilliant. What I normally do is I select all of those files, I drag them over onto the server, and our server here is this one here. Our server is called, it's actually called Kennedy, from Kennedy Space Station. But on Kennedy, we have, and that's the icon I gave it. I hope you appreciate that. Enterprise is where we store all of our in production stuff. And then we also have the other ones. We have Atlantis, Challenger, Columbia, Enterprise, and then things kind of fall apart a bit there. But Enterprise is where we store all of our in production video stuff, right? So we have A-roll, B-roll, stuff like that. So in A-roll normally, these are all of the things that we are working on or have worked on. So let me see if I can pick one. Reviews. I have to be careful because I'm publicly streaming this and I want to make sure I don't go into a folder that you guys don't know about. So it's all done by date and time and all, everything like that. Okay. And then what we do, I'm going to go into October because you guys know about 2 of these videos, and this one obviously you now know about. We're filming the iX60. So this is the Mini Cooper SE, right? This is literally all of the audio files that we're working on, and then we have all of the B-roll, and this is some B-roll here. Now I have taken this video file. This video file rather was made by me taking all of the constituent files, all of those little 4 gigabyte chunks, and in a terminal window running a program called FFmpeg. And what FFmpeg does is it's a terminal, it's a command line program that takes all of those files and you give it the sequence, and then it joins all of those files together and makes a new super file that is however many gigabytes inside. So if we go to A-roll, GoPro 9, you'll see that this one is 25 gigabytes. So it's however many of those files joined together And you'll see here, this is obviously me and Kate, and we're getting ready to film, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you see that. Now, it is my job when we are done filming to come back to the studio and transfer everything up and label it and make sure everything is properly labeled, as you see here. The problem with that is that I sometimes try and cut corners, and I'm a bit of a Linux geek. And I'm going to show you the command that I ran a few days ago. Okay. That caused the problem. I'm not actually going to run the command, but I went like this. I went ffmpeg yf concat I, and then let's just put the name of the text file .txt, which is basically it's a special file that I've made that lists all the files in order and how I want them to do. And then I go C copy map 00, map 01, map 03, and then I give it to name of new joined up, file .mp4, right? Then I did this. I did a semicolon, right? Which in Linux tells the computer that after you finish doing this thing, I then want you to go and do something else. So I then went like this. I then went sudo rm minus rf for those who don't know, is the command that tells the computer to delete all of the files in a particular directory, the directory that you are working in at that particular time. All right. Except I forgot to tell the computer which directory I was talking about, and I was in the source file directory, and I did two of those commands one after the other, and I did them the wrong way round. The first command was designed for me to get rid of any of the files I'd used to create that final file. That command should have been, I want you to basically go through that directory, and if there's anything that has the te_gp02 prefix, I want you to delete all of those files, and then I want you to find them and then delete them. Okay. And then the next command I did was this one, sudo rm minus rf. Okay, star, which means delete everything in the directory that I'm telling you to work on. Now, I thought that I had done a shortcut, which was to drag the disk that I wanted to erase, the original GoPro disk, which I wanted to erase the source files off. So what I normally do is I copy everything from the GoPro drive onto the server, and then I wait until this has done its thing, and then I tell it, okay, you've made this file, there's no errors. I want you to go ahead and delete the source files off the SD card so I can give Michael a clean wiped drive. And I want you to delete the source files on the server that you no longer need because you've made this Uber file. Never run these two commands one after the other, because what I did was I erased the memory card, and I erased everything in the source directory at the same time. Now, I only did this because I was trying to cut a corner. I was rushing to get out the door to do something else on my day off. And normally I wouldn't do that. Normally I'm very careful. Normally I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep everything on the SD card until I know that that master video file has absolutely been made. And then what I will do is I will erase the SD card and put it back in the camera so it's ready for next time. Now, I'd done that to two out of the 4 memory cards when I ran this command. What it did was it erased the third memory card and erased all of the big, long, finished source files that I had created on the server. So I went from having all of my video files in 2 places to having only one set of video files. The only video file I had left was this one. I actually had 2. C40 recharge. So I had this one, which is the color card color card. Then I had this one, which is basically the passenger side, right? And it's the passenger side. And you can see this is a 49-minute conversation between Kate and myself. So it's a long video, right? This is a single video file. I deleted the other 2 completed concatenated video files and deleted all of the source information. Now, if you ever accidentally delete anything off a hard drive, the first thing you do is not to use that hard drive. Sounds like Nikki needs to learn about the and operator. Yeah, the 2 ampersands. Yeah, instead of semicolon. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because after I did this, I was like, why the heck did I not use those? You're totally right, Jasper. This was the stupidest thing I've done in a really long time. But, and I'm moving this away because I think I actually swore at myself. Excuse me. I think I may have swore at myself. And I did. So, so I'm just going to rid of that swear word. So these files were recovered, and it's quite a long story. So there is a program called Test Disk. Okay, now Test Disk is a great program. It runs through a computer's physical media and looks for files that have been accidentally deleted. Because you may not know this, depending on how techie you are. And I'm going to use an analogy for you. Okay, so a computer hard drive, memory card, anything that stores data is a little bit like a library, right? So a big library, the bigger the library, the more books you can store. And the way that you would look for a book in a library before the days of computers was to look up in the card index. And I'm sure many of you have looked in card indexes. You kind of look for the title of the book in your card index, and the card index tells you where in the library that book is located, right? Maybe even if it's in the library or if it's out. Now, on a computer hard drive or any kind of data storage device, the computer has a special file that is the equivalent of that little card index. And what that little file does is it tells your computer that this file is over here on the hard drive, the physical location on the hard drive of that, the file that you want. And much like if someone was feeling malicious and they went through the library and they just took all of those cards out and ran off with them, the books would still be in the library, but you may not know where to find them. When you delete a file on a computer hard drive or a memory card, unless you secure delete it and tell the computer to go to the location where that file is and write zeros on top of the file to erase the file, if you just tell it to delete it normally, the file is still there. The data is still there. The computer just forgets where the file is located. So no problem. I have Test Disk. I know Test Disk. I've used it plenty. I've also used PhotoRec, which is another program that allows me to recover broken files, lost files. So far, so good. However, GoPros, especially the latest GoPros, use a special proprietary format for storing data. They don't necessarily store data in the same way that many computers store data, and their file structure is ever so slightly different to what a normal video file structure would be. And so a program like Test Disk can recover a file, right? So it knows that there is a 4 gigabyte video file here called tegp02gx010113.mp4. It knows that that file is there and it was able to recover it. That was the job yesterday. I spent most of my day off trying to fix this problem that I caused. It knows that those video files are there. It can bring them back. But if I try and click on it, it says an error occurred. If the error keeps occurring, your file may be corrupted. Bother. And that's because at the start of a video file, there is a very, very tiny little bit of information at the start of every file that has things about the file in it. So in this case, it's a video, it's this frame rate, this is the codec that it was recorded in. It was recorded by a GoPro camera, it was recorded on this date and this time. All of that information is hidden at the very start of the video file. And if that information is lost or damaged or broken, then that file may no longer work. Now, there are lots of tools that you can go through online that you can use to try and repair these video files. One of them being untrunk, which is another command line utility that I downloaded and had a go with. But when I ran untrunk, I don't know if this is in my bash history or not, so let's find out. Where's my bash history? There we go. If I can find it. All right. So, yeah, I tried to run a program called untrunk, and when it ran, it says Docker's not running. But when I ran it first time, it was just saying, hey, yeah, there's video file there. I can read the video file, but it doesn't have the information I need to fix it. So I've managed to recover the physical files. I can't play them. And I still have these memory cards. I decided I wasn't going to use them anymore until I pulled all the data off. And then I was Googling online. And sometimes when you Google online, you come up with gold, right? And there is a website called GoProRecovery.co.uk. This little thing here, GoProRecovery.co.uk. It is a Windows program. I'm a Mac person, but I do have a Mac that runs Windows. It's sitting behind me. It's my laptop. This file, this program, it costs 30 or 40 quid. So $30, $40, something like that. And I purchased it. And this is what's happened. It's gone through it's gone through the memory card sector by sector. It's actually read the information at the hardware level, and this is what it's found. So there's a little bit of a corrupted start to that file, but this is one of the broken cameras, the file that I managed to delete. And here has another one. This is all footage that we recorded on Monday that I managed to lose. And it works. And we saved all except one of those 4 gigabyte memory chunks. So I'm now going to be able to resurrect it, if not all, a sizable chunk of that review. And instead of just having one camera, we're going to have 3 cameras worth of footage, 4 cameras worth of footage, hopefully restored. Now I'm running that program again in the background over there on that laptop and hoping that it recovers that first missing file. We've actually got 2 missing files. One of them is a color card from Michael, and the other one is the start of that video file. So because, and that's why I'm looking a bit ragged today, because we only get the car for a really short period of time. We only get 1 day to film the review. So if we cock up or something like that happens, bad things always follow. So the moral of the story is, if you accidentally delete something on one of these, do not put it back in a computer and write stuff to it. Do not try and do anything fancy with it. Stop and research and Google and Google and Google and Google. It took over a day of Googling before I found a reference to this app, this obscure app that costs $30-40. And I would normally have just not even looked at it twice. It's written by this one person in the UK, and it was because of them and them only. Just think about that for a second. Them and them only, that we were able to recover so far one of the accidentally deleted pieces of footage. And I am so grateful. And I just had to share this story with you. And I know it's kind of on take 2 and most people are not going to watch this, but so when you watch the Volvo C40 recharge video, you'll know. The other thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put a bit of a crowdfunder together to try and raise some money for some new hard drives, because we don't have a tape drive. So you don't have any way of backing up data, and tape drives is the only way now, I think, because Elon Musk has announced that Starlink is going to be restricting data. And our other internet connection is nowhere near fast enough to do incremental backup anyway. We make so much content that we wouldn't be able to back it up in its raw format, and that's what we need to do. So we need to try and raise some money to buy a tape drive. And the other thing I think we need to do is raise a bit more cash to have more hard drives so that I can turn on the recycle bin functionality of ZFS. It used to be on. And so had at one point I deleted those files, they would have, instead of being deleted immediately, they would have gone to the recycle bin. Okay. ZFS has got a good policy there, right? If you've got a Samba and you've got ZFS operating together. So Samba is a file sharing protocol, and ZFS is the system that handles the disks. If I had got both of those running and operating at the same time, I wouldn't have had a single problem with my hard drive. I would have been able to have just gone, oh no, I'm a fool. I accidentally deleted stuff. It's good. I can just go to the recycle bin and retrieve the files. But that was not what happened, because sometimes I don't think before I do stuff. And this was one of the things that I did not think about. So someone asked, I'm just setting this up so people can see. Someone asked how much data we currently have on our system. This is how much we currently have. Steve, yeah, it's Mango, sorry. Yeah, I had tech issues. I did a very stupid thing. I ran rm minus rf asterisk dot asterisk in a folder instead of on a drive that I wanted to erase. I ran it in the folder that I had copied stuff to after already deleting the source drive. And then I deleted a huge amount of data, and I have been able to recover it thanks to a $30 to $40 program from this guy in the UK that's called GoPro Recovery. And I just had to make a story about it. I just had to talk to you all about it. All right. So right now, we have 436.31 TB. Someone do a TB to terabyte conversion for me. It's over half a terabyte of data in available. Sorry, only over half a terabyte of data in terms of disk space, but we've allocated 282.5 TB. So what's that? About 300 terabytes. And free, we've got 153.82 TB. We are going to need to buy some more hard drives soon. So we recently purchased. So let me show you. How can I do this without showing off things? All right, so oh, sorry. My brain is really tired. So these are all of the drives that we've currently got running on this machine. So we've got they're in 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Although there are 6 in the last one, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are they in 6s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, they are in 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We've got 35 drives plus a spare and 2 log drives and a cache. So if I get out of that and then I just put the cpool status, there you go. Those are all of my drives in my in the Transport Evolved setup right now. So they are made up of 12 terabyte drives, 14 terabyte drives, 16 terabyte drives, and the last lot we purchased were 20 terabyte drives. So if I go back here and I go zpool, gosh, I can't type. If I actually remember the commands. So you'll see that my biggest drives, I've got 71.2 TB free on the newest drives, but some of those old ones are getting a little bit tight. Before Elon caps Starlink, throw that back up at my LTO6 drive. Unfortunately, they're already capping it. So I'm going to be looking at buying an LTO. Was on my list, actually. We were going to have an LTO drive, maybe. We actually have a server room. I don't know if you guys know this, but we now have a server room. I can show you. So we currently have a server room that is sitting at 18.5 degrees Celsius. We have a, that's the size that you find. Shipping service of choice is the fastest network. Yeah. So we have a server room here. If you want me to talk for a few more, I'll just talk about some of my Home Assistant stuff because I like it. This is my Roomba. I haven't worked out on the Peloton today, but this is where we're at with the cars right now. For some reason, it's not updated my wife's car, and I know that it doesn't have those figures because she's charged it today. But this right now, we're doing a bit of a test. We are running the home vehicle to home system right now to test the truck. So it's probably closer to 60% full now. Again, it's not updating, and I don't know if that's Home Assistant or something else. Currently 84%, so it's a little bit behind. It sometimes updates, but it says right here 84%. So there we go. Anyway, that is my tale of woe. So if you are somebody who uses GoPros on a regular basis, go buy yourself that program. It is brilliant. It will save your metaphorical bacon, and hopefully you won't spend your day off and then the next day, because it's 6 o'clock in the evening, trying to rescue files that you just shouldn't have been needing to rescue in the first part. But now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go and get ready for 10, because by this time in the evening, I should have built our show note list, and I haven't even started yet. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for being my confessional, and keep evolving.